So question number 3 from the 2011 AP macro exam has to do with Sewell Bank and a simplified balance sheet, which we've got on the screen at the moment. And they want to know, based on its balance sheet, what is the required reserve ratio. So remember, required reserves is the fraction of your demand deposits, which happens to be 10,000. And since required reserves are listed on the asset side here to be 2,000, you simply divide 2,000 by 10,000, which is the same as 20%. 0.2 times 100. 100% would be the required reserve ratio. Next, it says, suppose the Federal Reserve purchases 5,000 worth of bonds from Sewell Bank. What will be the change in the dollar value of each of the following immediately after the purchase? So excess reserves are originally zero when the Fed buys these bonds from Sewell Bank. There's $7,000 worth of bonds, so you lose 5,000 there, meaning that now they're going to have $2,000 worth of bonds, but excess reserves grow to be 5,000. So excess reserves are now 5,000, and the demand deposits is on the liability side. There were no new deposits. The Federal Reserve's purchase of these bonds from Sewell Bank to go directly to excess reserves. They have no impact on demand deposits. We keep the relationship here of, there's a total of $20,000 over here. When the 7 becomes 2,000 and excess becomes 5,000 from 0, if we were to add these up, it's still all equal to 20,000. So we've maintained that rule there. In Part C, we want to calculate the maximum amount the money supply can change as a result of this $5,000 purchase. In order to do that, we need to know what the multiplier is. Remember, the money multiplier is equal to 1 over the reserve requirement. In this case, it's 1 over 20%, or 0.2, which is equal to 5. So the money multiplier is 5 times the $5,000 would equal a total expansion of the money supply of $25,000. In D, when the Federal Reserve purchases bonds, what will happen to the price of bonds in the open market? Well, even though it wasn't required or asked for, it's, I believe, helpful to understand the answer to this part of the question. If the Federal Reserve purchases bonds, they're changing the money supply. So we need to look at the money market, and this would be the original setup for it: quantity of money, nominal interest rates on the Y. You have an initial nominal interest rate of R1. Because they've purchased bonds, the supply of money would shift to the right to S2, and quantity, equilibrium quantity, and interest rates would change. Quantity is greater or larger, and the nominal interest rate falls from R1 to R2. So what we now know is, based on what the Fed has done, they've caused nominal interest rates to fall. Now you need to know that the relationship between bond prices and interest rates are inverse in order to answer the rest of the question. So anytime the interest rate falls, we would have an increase in bond prices. The reason is that you have an existing bond over a period of 5 years that pays 7%. If the interest rate falls to 5%, people are now willing to pay a premium to own your bond that pays higher than what the current interest rate would be, 5%. Yours pays 7%, so they're going to pay you more, so therefore the increase in the price of your bond. And then the very last part of our question here was, instead of purchasing bonds if an individual deposited 5,000 of cash into her checking account, what is the immediate effect on M1? And if you remember from our definition of M1, M1 includes both cash and checking type accounts, demand deposits. So there is no impact on M1 since you're just moving money from one part of M1 into another part of M1. The end.